Hello, this is Cory McCray, Senator for the 45th Legislative District. I just wanted to first thank the Afro for this opportunity, especially to talk to so many of our businesses across the city of Baltimore and most importantly across the state of Maryland. Just a little bit about myself before I get started. Born and raised in the city of Baltimore, graduated from a school Fairmont Hartford High School right there at Hartford and 25th. I'm an electrician by trade out of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I've been buying houses up and down Bel Air Road since I was 20 years of age. I was sworn into the House of Delegates in 2015, and more recently in 2019, I came over to the Maryland State Senate. For those folks that may not be sure where the 45th Legislative District boundaries are, north is Northern Parkway, southern is Mount Vernon, Johns Hopkins, and Station North. East is Pulaski Highway, and west is Hartford Road. I'm proud and honored to be serving communities such as Berea, Oliver, Sedonia, Hamilton, Overley, McElderry Park, Monument East, Johnson Square, Station North, and so many others. Some of the attributes or some of the assets in our community, such as the Great Blacks and Wax Museum right there on North Avenue, the Humanin Building, the Hartford Road Corridor, the Bel Air Road Corridor. So proud of such great opportunities within the 45th Legislative District, and my goal is to always continue to lift them up. At this moment, I just wanted to thank my friend, Dr. Draper, Dr. Tony Draper, CEO of the Afro, for giving me this opportunity to share about how can folks get involved in reference to doing business with the state of Maryland. And I think that the first thing that we all should do is make sure that you know your legislators, because they have a strong relationship in reference to the coordination and facilitation of if there's any challenges with the state of Maryland, or if there are any opportunities with the state of Maryland. For those that may not know, and I don't assume that everyone knows, but you have three delegates, and you have one senator. I would encourage all business owners to make sure that they know who their delegates are and who your senator is. If you are in the 45th Legislative District, obviously you know your senator, but if your current delegates are Delegate Talmadge Branch, Delegate Stephanie Smith, and Delegate Chanel Branch. They're the current delegates for the 45th Legislative District at this moment. So what else should they know outside of who their legislators are? I always tell my friends, and I'll give you a more recent scenario. I have a friend, he owns a sprinkler fitter company, and it's rare that minorities or just black folks are in the sprinkler fitter. They've always been doing private work. And I asked him, well, are you doing any projects such as schools, such as anything with the state, the city? And he said, no. I said, are you MBE certified? And that's one of the things I wanted to help him facilitate this process in reference to getting minority business enterprise certified with the state of Maryland. This gives you access to a number of the different projects, especially when you are in the industry that black folks, women, minorities do not dominate. So, and that is the case in reference to just being a sprinkler fitter. You may have a number of electrical companies, you have a number of roofing companies, carpenters, but sprinkler fitters are not it. So I encouraged my friend, and what I did was I connected him with MDOT. I reached out to the secretary, Greg Slater of MDOT, who facilitates the MBE process. Then I went and reached out to the government relations person over there, because with each agency or just the private sector government, we all have what we call a government relations person, and that's a person to help us to facilitate the bureaucracy that may go on and make sure that we have a comfortable landing as the elected official for that respective area. So Pilar Helm, I reached out to Pilar Helm and I said, Pilar, I wanted to connect you with my friend. He's a sprinkler fitter, he's a neighbor, he's a constituent that wants to make sure that he can get MBE certified so that he can be able to bid on more, because at the time he wasn't bidding on any public projects, but would have access to these public projects which have state dollars connected to it. Why is this also important? And I'm gonna repeat this throughout this process during the video, because they're our tax dollars. You should be able to reap the benefits of your tax dollars. That's just important to me from an equity standpoint. The next thing that I always tell my folks, let's say that you have a nonprofit. So you got a nonprofit, you're in the city of Baltimore. Many folks may not know that Department of Community and Housing Development, DHCD is the acronym, actually has dollars that they can help with nonprofits. So I then encourage all of our nonprofits, make sure you know your legislators. But if you know your legislators and you are a nonprofit, if you're looking for capital dollars, if you're looking for some form of grant programs or some form of access, we should be able to make sure that we reach out to the Secretary of DHCD, which is Ken Halt, and reach out to Hunter Pickles, who's the government relations person for DHCD, and be able to say, this is a business within our respective district, and they're looking for opportunities from the state of Maryland to be able to thrive, not just for themselves, but also doing that for our constituents, our residents, and our neighbors throughout the district. One of the other things that I think about, let's say that you're we've talked about not-for-profits, but let's say that you are a for-profit organization. Look at all of the CARES dollars that's coming through the federal government to the state government. They're going to this department called Department of Commerce. And the Department of Commerce secretary is a lady named Kelly Schultz, former House of Delegate member, but it's important for me to know that, but it's also important for any business owner to know that, because they have a slew of dollars, a tranche of dollars that are coming through that agency that we want to make sure that we are connecting to people. Why is it important to me? Because when more 45th district businesses have access to these respective dollars, I know that my community is winning. So it's very important to me to help facilitate and make these connections. But I also want to make sure that they know who the Department of Commerce is, how do they get access to the Department of Commerce. And what happens with for-profit businesses, there's not just Department of Commerce where you have access to dollars at, you also have the Department of Housing and Community Development. I also talked about them with not-for-profits, but they also have a program called NeighborWorks. NeighborWorks can give low-interest loans, 1-2%, to our for-profit organizations and make sure that they have access to that capital that is very much so necessary. The next thing that I would like to talk about is just community development. So when we talk about community development, the state has an interest in making sure that communities are successful. Do they do that all the time, and do they do that in an equitable manner? No, they do not. It's incumbent upon those representatives that represent that district to make sure that that access is provided to their respective communities. And we do that if you're a community, if you're a developer, if it's a community association, if it's some form of community development project. Some of the things that I push them towards, I call it the Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiative. We call it BRNI for short. That's the acronym, BRNI. And BRNI has about $12 million specifically just for the Baltimore region. And Baltimore City is one of the biggest benefactors of this $12 million that comes every year. It started at $3 million. It worked where it was flexible dollars, where it was creativity that was put forth, and that $3 million has now went up to $12 million. And there's also programs such as Community Legacy. Community Legacy is a little bit broader than BRNI. It's not just restricted to the Baltimore region, but with Community Legacy, that's making sure that these buildings, these anchors that have been in our community, that we're upholding that rich history, and that's what the Community Legacy programs does. So I just want to kind of reiterate, when you talk about doing business with the state of Maryland, let's make sure that you get MBE certified through MDOT. Let's make sure that if you're a not-for-profit, that you're actually trying your best to tackle and get to the dollars at Department of Housing and Community Development. Let's say that you're a for-profit business. I hope that you're reaching out to the Department of Commerce, DHCD, for those dollars. And then if you're into community development, as such, the tools, BRNI and Community Legacy dollars are there. I want to reiterate one of the points that I think is very, very, very important, is know your elected officials. And I tell this story because I've known my wife, Demetria, since I was 17 years of age. One of the things that Demetria did was she immediately went to go and participate within the democratic process as soon as she turned 18. I didn't really understand how important our elected officials were until I was about 25 years of age, and I saw some things in our communities that I just didn't think was right. Wondering why some communities are benefactors where others are disenfranchised. And that's not right. But as soon as I started to engage, I realized that politics surrounds a lot of what we do. Whether our streets are repaved, Whether the lights in our neighborhoods go out and come back on in 2 days or 2 weeks. What do our schools look like? What do our higher institutions look like? This is all political decisions that are made by your respective representatives, and I will once again beg upon you to make sure that you know who they are. I'm going to go back to the tax dollar standpoint, just from a business standpoint, and the rate of return. You get more of your dollars. And from an equity standpoint, we've seen our neighborhoods disenfranchised decades on top of decades on top of decades. But it's incumbent not just on the representatives, but also on the community itself to make sure that we are getting those dollars back into our neighborhoods. And I think that that's very important. So I would just say that from an equity standpoint, making sure that our dollars come back to our neighborhoods are very, very important. I'm going to stop doing the talking. I feel like I've done a lot, but there's a lot of tools out there to where the state can be helpful to any business, whether it's not-for-profit or for-profit, to make sure that they have access to dollars and capital. That's through loans, that's through grants, and I'm here to make sure that we can help with that. The most important thing that I hope that you take away from this message is, if you ever need any help, please reach out. My phone number is 410-841-3165. Once again, that's 410-841-3165. And if you wanted to reach out to us via email, my email address is just my name, Cory, C-O-R-Y, period, last name McCray, M-C-C-R-A-Y, at Senate, S-E-N-A-T-E, period, state, S-T-A-T-E, period, M-D, period, U-S. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to serve. I'm trying my best to be one of the most responsive public servants, and if you feel as though I can help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I want to thank you again for taking this opportunity just to listen to me talk about how small businesses can benefit from the state of Maryland. But I also once again want to thank the leadership of the Afro-American newspaper for shedding light on these opportunities and also giving me the invitation. I'm humbled and honored, and just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. You all have a blessed day.